Okay, we're going to do a quick screen recording to show you guys how to use ZoomInfo to pull new leads in directly inside of SalesForce here. Once you're logged into SalesForce, you'll want to go up to your ZoomInfo tab and pull up the search feature here. Now, most of the time you're going to be doing searches based on a specific company. For the demonstrations of our recording here, we're going to actually do a search for people at Northwestern Mutual or Northwestern Memorial. And this is a company that I know is primarily headquartered out of Chicago, Illinois. So first thing I'm going to do is just type in the company name and click on Find People to see what kind of results I get as a whole. This will show you everybody in the company that ZoomInfo has, kind of give you a good sense of how many people are out there. So as you look at this list and then take a quick look down here at the bottom, you're going to notice that they have over 500 people. Way too many for you to prospect into, especially if you're doing a targeted campaign. You're going to want to be a lot more specific with who you're going after. So the first thing that I would do is make sure that you're pulling the most relevant and recent information here. So the first settings that I look to are when were they last mentioned or last updated in ZoomInfo. And I usually set that to 12 months. ZoomInfo will kind of repopulate this. We're still seeing over 500. So the next thing, obviously, is we need to make sure that we have an email and a phone number if we're going to do our 1-2 punches for these people. So I'm going to set that to email and phone number. And again, with a large organization, over 10,000 people, we're still going to get well over 500 results here. Okay, so I'm constantly kind of paying attention to how many people are in my search results. So from here, the next thing to do is to start to filter this down. Now, one of the first filters that you're going to want to filter by, especially since you're working in a territory, is you're going to want to filter on location. So the first thing I would do is I would click on Show More Filters, and then you're going to want to make sure that you select this little radio button down here where the person is at the selected location. Okay, since we haven't put any filters on it yet, that's not going to change our results yet, but it's very important that you select that filter each time you do a search for an organization. From there, you want to come back up to the location and select the location that you're interested in. In this demonstration, again, we're showing this for Northwestern Memorial, which we know is primarily out of Chicago. So if I were Jed trying to pull a list of people for Northwestern Memorial Hospital, I would come down here to expand out North America. Then I would expand out the United States and go to Illinois. If I were doing an executive briefing, I would actually uncheck Illinois, and instead of going by state, I would go by U.S. metro regions. And say we were trying to fill a Chicago-based EB, I would come down here to Illinois, and I would check on the Chicago metro area. That gives me everybody in the Chicago and surrounding area, but not too far away out into Springfield and the other areas. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and click on Find People. That will update our search and come back up here. And again, we're still going to see over 500 people because we know that that's where they're headquartered. We can collapse the location filter now and then start to filter down on the job function and management level. So these are the next two filters that you're really going to want to pay attention to or look for. Management level is pretty easy to filter on. Depending on what the messaging is going to be for your one-to-one prospecting, you would probably choose anything from a director, VP, maybe all the way up to a C-level individual. So if we click on those three and filter that down, you'll see that our results are now getting smaller. Now we're down to about 399 people on this list. Okay, so that's pretty good, but again, still way too many for you guys to prospect into. So on job function, you expand this list out, and this is where you can get maybe a little bit more specific. What I would probably do at this point is go for the center of the bullseye. So I look at human resources and expand that menu out, and then look at the human resource generalist, Obviously, we're not really interested in benefits and compensation or recruiting, but occasionally you might get into diversity. So that's a really good sweet spot for those two. And then very often going into operations and change management, great set of people, and then sometimes quality management. So let's select those 4 and hit Find People again and see what that does to our search. How much does that narrow us down? Okay, this looks like a pretty good list of people. We've got 19 people who are C-level VP or directors in HR, change management, and quality management. So then you could very quickly begin to look at the titles and hand select the people that you want to add to Salesforce. If you like all of these titles, you can just simply select all of them. Or if you like most of them and it's easier to unselect the ones that you don't want, maybe you didn't want those 2 people, you could take them off. So now we're at 19, kind of narrow. Hey, maybe you're really trying to get to 50 or 60 people for the company. So you might actually jump over to general management and select this checkbox from the job function. It's a great little filter that kind of finds really anybody that's in a management type position within an organization if they're listed that way. So by doing that, that bumps us all the way up to 26. So they don't really have a lot of general management type people. But in this case, Northwestern Memorial, being a hospital, we might look at the medical and health and look at everybody that are directors and above in medical and health and see what that gives us. Click on Find People and let this run. So that jumped us up to about 161 people. So as you can see, this is really very much an art. This is why we hire humans instead of robots to handpick the people that you're going to want to prospect. Again, you can select the entire list, or you can kind of look through these, reading through their titles, etc., and handpick the people that you want to select. If you uncheck this box and leave nothing selected and hit Import into Salesforce, you will see that it's going to select all 161 profiles, or you can then give it a range if you only want to limit this to the top 50 or 60 people. After that, let's say we said, you know what, I'm going to make a big bet on this. I'm going to go after all 161. Clicking through these, it's going to check for duplicates. So you hit Next. And you'll see that this runs and checks in batches of 100 for people that may already be in Salesforce. So we'll let this run for a second, and as soon as it's done, it will let us know how many of these people we already have in Salesforce. Of the people that we did the search on, we've got 85 potential matches. You can actually review them if you wanted to, but it only gives you their name and the company. So sometimes that's helpful, sometimes it's not. Most of the time you're not going to import those matches, so if you decided not to, you would hit Next again. And ZoomInfo will tell you this is going to use 76 of your credits when you hit the Finish button. I'm not going to do that now, but those people would be automatically imported into Salesforce, ready for you to then go and find and import into Cadence. So that's the ZoomInfo tool. If you have any questions, again, please just reach out. I'll be more than happy to do a side-by-side with you, help you build the right list on your first or second try, get those into Salesforce for you.